And welcome back to Comic Frontline, everybody. Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzogoose, here with a review of Arrow, the latest episode that aired last night. It's Season 2, Episode 18, Deathstroke. And this episode is all about Deathstroke basically playing Oliver all throughout the episode. He's got this intricate master plan that he's systematically taking Oliver down piece by piece by misdirection and all this stuff. It starts off, Thea Queen is abducted because, she was heartbroken about Roy, pushing her away and everything, so she decided she needed to be alone. So she takes off and Slade Wilson picks her up. That's how the last episode ended, I believe. And so so he takes her and locks her up and everything, and Oliver doesn't know any of this until like the next night. It's during a debate between Sebastian Blood and Moira Queen, and they play a video message from supposedly a question from a citizen, and it was Thea crying for help. So that kind of set everything into motion, and Oliver goes out and he's making all these decisions to try to get to Thea and get to Slade. They get Quentin to arrest Slade and all this stuff, and of course he has an alibi, so he's let go. And at every turn, Oliver is just 3 steps behind, and Slade has all these things going in motion. And during all this chaos of Thea being held captive and everything, Oliver, Isabel, played by Summer Glau, comes back into play, and she's like, I know this is a hard time, but we've got these important decisions, and the CEO needs to make decisions unless you sign temporary status over to somebody. So he right there signs temporary status of CEO over to Isabel and just walks away and kind of tries to concentrate on rescuing Thea. Long story short, she kind of uses that to call a board meeting and push Oliver out and becomes the permanent CEO. So she runs Queen Industries, Queen Consolidated, whatever they call it in the show now. And meanwhile, Thea is dropped with a bombshell. Slade lays on her who her real father is. And so then she confronts Oliver and Moira once she's free, because Slade just lets her go because it was all a game to him. Meanwhile, he was across town letting, or kind of liberating a busload of convicts that were being transferred, while Oliver was distracted trying to rescue Thea, who was already on her way to the police station by that point. And, he goes into the board meeting, he confronts Isabel, and turns out she's working with Slade after all this time, and she says to him, the sins of the father are the sins of the son. And there's a little skirmish there, and that's how he found out where Thea was, because she told him. And then that's when Slade was freeing the prisoners and everything. So because of all this that happened, Moira gets sympathy votes, and she goes way ahead in the polls, and Sebastian Blood's all mad about this, and Deathstroke's like, I didn't promise you the mayor, I promised you would run the city and I would provide you an army to do so, which is what he's doing. So Slade, Summer Glau's character Isabel, and Sebastian Blood are all working together in this. Thea now knows that Malcolm Merlin is her father, and she's not happy with her family at all. Roy was ticked off at Oliver. He was the only one that he was like, you're making all these wrong decisions and everything is falling apart, and I'm done. I had faith in you, but now I'm done. And he walks away, and he, at the end of the episode, or towards the end, he leaves Starling City, and after he makes sure that Thea was safe. And so all these dominoes are falling, and it's tearing Oliver's little crew apart. Quentin is arrested because they find out that he's still working with the vigilante, so he's taken into custody. So he's taken off the playing field now. So you got Slade kind of tearing away at Team Arrow. And then he drops a bombshell. Slade Wilson drops a bombshell on Laurel. He tells Laurel that Oliver is the Arrow. And, you know, the episode kind of ends with that. But right before that, Oliver tells Diggle and Felicity that they're going to fight back. And that's, you know, then that leads into the reveal with Laurel, and that's how your episode ends. But very, very important things here. You know, we thought we were going to get that final Slade and Arrow battle, but of course they're going to probably save that for the season finale. Throughout the episode, we also got flashbacks to the island, of course, and how we realized that Slade is kind of being haunted by the ghost of Shadow in his head, and she's kind of manipulating his moves. And of course, you know, this whole relationship he had with Shadow is probably totally fabricated by the Mirakuru, because obviously they weren't together. She was with Ollie. They had gotten close. And we kind of saw seeds of that they had gotten really close, but I think he read a bit more into it. The Mirakuru made it more than it was, and that's sent him on this whole revenge kick. And so yeah, right now as things stand, Oliver's life is torn apart. You know, Laurel knows his secret, Thea knows Moira's secret, and Roy's gone, and Quentin's in jail, and just everything is in chaos and total turmoil. He no longer has his company, so everything is crazy at this point. And you know, I love this episode. This was a fantastic episode. I love seeing Summer Glau back. Really am a fan of hers. Even though she has that curse of every series she pops up and gets canceled, I think she's finally found one that probably won't. So Manu Bennett that plays Slade is perfectly cast. He's he's debonair when he needs to be, but he's very cunning and very cutthroat and very off his rocker at times too. So it's a nice contrast that he's able to play. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on. This was one of those episodes that you're just like watching with, holding your breath as everything falls into place and you see it come together. I was watching Comic Uno's review of this, and she had a theory that maybe Isabel was Ravager, which I thought was a really interesting theory, and they could go with that route. But I actually did some research on the character of Isabel Rochev, and because I'd never read her in the comics, I didn't even know if she was a comic character or if they created her for the show. But I did find out that she actually was in the comics, and the backstory actually lines up a lot with the TV series now. And I don't really want to give it away because it could reveal things about her character, but if you Google Isabel Rochev, you see she was a New Earth character, and there are ties between her and Robert Queen, Oliver's father, and why she can't stand Oliver. And actually in the comics she became CEO of the company, and kind of systematically took it down, and there is a reason that she has a vendetta against Robert Queen and why she's carrying it out against Oliver. So it seems like they're going with that New Earth rendition of her, and that's not the first time that they've dipped into a New Earth character for Arrow. So I think that's really interesting that they're going that route. But yeah, it's kind of like with Marvel doing the Ultimate Universe kind of versions in their movies. Seems like a lot of New Earth stuff is pulled out for Arrow, which is really, really fun to see. But yeah, this was a fantastic episode. I didn't really expect Isabel to be working with Slade, so that was a nice twist. And this whole thing where it's falling apart, we're at episode 18, so we know there's not too many episodes left in the season for this to all get wrapped up. So we know this had to be the deconstruction part, so we could build back up towards the season finale and get some kind of resolution here before heading into next season. But yeah, I would give this episode a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was a really, really strong episode of the season, of the show in total, and it was a culmination of a lot of things building up, and a lot of these things playing together, these three threads of Slade, Sebastian Blood, and Isabel coming together, and with a big reveal and all these secrets coming out. So it really was a stellar episode, and I'd highly recommend checking this one out. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5. I cannot wait for the next episode of the show. I absolutely love this show, and anybody that has not tried it out yet, I highly recommend Season 2. Season 1, a little patchy in places, a little slow build. You had to get through that to be able to focus on the things that are happening in this season. But yeah, Season 2 has been fantastic from start to finish, in my personal opinion. So there you go, 4.5 out of 5 for Arrow, Season 2, Episode 18, Deathstroke. And that's going to wrap it up for this review. Check out all the other reviews here on Comic Frontline. Check out comicrelated.com and comicfrontline.com, both together your #1 source for all your comic news, reviews, podcasts, and so much more. Listen to the Zone 4 podcast each and every Friday right here on Comic Frontline. Next week is our big 5-year anniversary episode, and I believe that's it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.